Found strange messages on wife's account, then came home and heard a guy's voice from upstairs. Wife is hysterical 'cause of what I did to them. To give some background, me and my wife met when we were around 10 years old. We have had a thing for each other since, but only got serious when we turned 18. I knew she was infatuated with me, and I was with her, so the only plausible next step was marriage. I proposed to her on Valentine's Day at a getaway weekend when we were 21, and the rest is history. We both make it work with money in our day-to-day lives, respectable jobs, nice well-kept home, no kids, nice circle of friends and cordial families. Everything was perfect in my mind. The infidelity began when I was going through her phone. I saw texts to a guy from her work. This wasn't any direct flirting, but was still odd and suggestive if you ask me. She'd say things like, "I've had such a long day at work KKK, and he'd say they need to relax together, and so on. I admit I have a temper, and I was not about to let this happen. I told her she can no longer contact him, block him in front of my face, and she would no longer have me if she contacted him. She did everything I asked. So this brings me to Sunday night. I own a business with my cousin. We started it around age 20, and it really took off. We have an office where I sometimes sleep when the workload gets on top of me. I usually order in and get the work in order, and if it's too late I'll spend the night. So I text my wife from about midday, "Me and cousin are gonna probably be kept here all night. I'll order in so you can eat without me and don't wait up. Love you." She responded minutes later telling me she was a bit sad she wasn't gonna see me that night, but wished me well with my work and said she loves me too. All was good. Fast forward to later that night. I decided the work had taken enough of my weekend, and that I wanted to see my wife, who I thought also wanted to see me. So around 7 p.m. I began making my way home. When I got home I heard talking upstairs, but couldn't make it out, so I went up where I saw my wife and the guy. I admit I didn't handle it the best I could have. I started by beating his, but as he tried to look, "Man, I'm sorry me." I kicked him out of the house and sent him to walk home without his shoes. My wife was hysterical from the moment I walked in, and I came very close to getting physical with her also, but I didn't. Through all of this she cried and cried, saying it was a stupid mistake, but by this point my concerns from the text messages were proved to be justified. I repeatedly told her save her breath, and I did not want to hear any of the idiotic explanations she had. I considered going back to the office, but I said no, duck that, told her to get her stuff and stay wherever the duck she could. I wanted her out of my sight. She stayed with her best friend since. My phone has been blown up by her friends and family since, but I've ignored them. I told her dad what happened though. He was livid and took my side. Since the first day, my anger has transitioned to sadness over the fact that our, almost, lifelong journey has been thrown away for some sleazy dude from her work. I have been staying busy, but would be lying if I said every idle moment I get hasn't been spent sulking/crying/lamenting over what happened. I'm contacting lawyers tomorrow morning to get our divorce rolling. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. She was crying and said it was a stupid mistake. She consciously messaged the guy to come over because she knew you weren't going to be home. She had the intent from the time she messaged you back. That is not a mistake, it's a choice. I'm sorry that this has hurt your marriage. Take some time for yourself to process and allow yourself to feel hurt, angry, and betrayed. Thank you for sharing. Comment 2. I don't see what you could have done differently. Talk to the lawyer and get your stuff in order. Moving forward with your soon-to-be ex-wife. Treat this as a business relationship that is ending. Don't get wrapped up in emotions with respect to the division of assets. Comment 3. Sounds like you took out the 2 bags of trash in your house. Nicely done. Get that divorce process started and start the healing. I ghosted my girlfriend 'cause she cheated and said I made her do it and got unexpected karma with her affair partner. When I was in my 20s I was hanging around a group that we now no longer keep in contact with. It tends to happen, people just drift apart. One of my friends had another friend who thought it would be good for me. We shall call her Trish. Trish began to talk and soon found a lot of things in common. It didn't take long, but we soon became a couple. I should state Trish and I lived in 2 different towns, and it was an hour trip one way just to get there, so there were a lot of texts and calls. I even spoke to her parents once, more on that later. We even met up when we were in each other's towns to talk and hang out. Well, about a month into the relationship, I get a call from her, and it sounds quite sad and guilty. She confessed that had slept with another guy the day before. This was a shock to me, having never been cheated on before, but I continued to listen. She was sorry as it just happened. Now, if this was it, I might have forgiven her and given her a second chance. But it didn't. It soon turned from "I'm sorry I cheated on you" to "well, you made me do it," somehow turning her sleeping with another guy was my fault because I wasn't around. It was a long-distance relationship, of course I wasn't around. She was justifying her cheating by this, and how this new guy made her happy. I wasn't going to take it, told it was over and hung up, deleting her number. What happened next I could never plan, but boy, karma is a nasty piece when she wants to be. So Trish and this guy decided to get this place together. And well, that night of passion love, well, it had a result. Yep, she got pregnant. The guy then skipped town, leaving her, pregnant and alone, in a place she could not afford. Due to this, she had to move in with her parents, her very, very religious parents. Remember that one call I had with them? After I said hi, they responded with what religion to believe in? As sharp and direct as anything. When I responded with my religion, Lutheran for anyone was wondering, there was a pause, and then "you will do fine," and left like that. So when she comes back to them, Trish in a leap of logic tells them about the cheating, pregnancy, the baby daddy. How did they respond learning that their first grandchild was not only to be born out of wedlock, but also by sin, the cheating? Like any other religious nutjob does. They were beyond pissed. Through the entire pregnancy they made Trish's life hell. I can't remember what. Now, how did I know this? This is where karma was beautiful in her justice. Trish told me. That's right, a year after we broke up, Trish decided to call me, told me everything. Why? My guess is for 2 reasons: 1. To gain sympathy points, and 2. To get me to take her back. Nope. I quickly shut that down and ended the call. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. What happened to her really sucks. Not really a karma thing, as there is now another life involved that has no fault in any of this, and she now has a single mom who will, oh God, I don't even want to think about the possibilities. You know what, this whole thing sucks. Comment 2. Wow. This is the man I tell every loyal person. Don't forgive cheaters. Karma will deal with them. But take some time and definitely give the best shot in perfect timing. Crazy STBX wife says she doesn't want to take the paternity test and cries after I tell her we're done cause I know the truth. The mother of my child cheated on me with my best friend. When we were just BF/GF, I didn't know she was meeting up with my best friend at 5 a.m. to hit the gym. After I'd get out of work in the afternoon, my friend and I would meet up to work out. She would randomly meet us there, and focus on me, and would barely say hi to my friend. At restaurants or bars, when we would hang out in a group of friends, I'd see that she would give me her full attention and affection in front of the group. She'd be practically under my arm the whole time. But whenever I'd get up to go order a drink or use the restroom, I'd be on my way back to the table, and see them super chatty, and quite completely back down when I'd get there. My sister used to accuse me of dominating conversations, so I just thought I was being rude not letting them speak, and so every time I would see that, I would just put my full trust into both of them. They're both into all the zodiac and would always get excited that they lined up on things being Virgos. At some point I didn't like the way the relationship was going, and so I called it off. She wanted us to return together, and always persisted hard. She'd show up to my apartment when I would be off work, and would practically seduce me. She would be wearing sexy lingerie and not leave until she was done giving me head. However, things started getting weird with all my friends. My best friend would hardly want to hang out anymore, and I'd see that the rest of the group would hang out, but hold out on my invitation. I'd ask my buddy what was up, why was nobody inviting me anywhere anymore, and he just says that it's all planned at the last minute and that they thought I'd be busy. Later I found out from another friend that he would tell the group that he wanted to be the one to invite me, so no one else would, but then go to the group and tell them I was too busy to hang out. He never would contact me. He instead would contact my ex and invite her. She would be overjoyed to go drinking/clubbing with the group and him every time. My best friend blacklisted me to events or parties, so he could invite my ex to be his date in the group. Despite all this going on for months, she is trying hard for us to date again, doing everything she does, and he knows it too, but he's just in for the free ride for the meantime. I will admit, I am a weak man, and as much of a stressful headache she'd be, I still would fall for her coming over because I knew she wanted to mess around. With time I wised up and realized I was just getting temporary gratification from her constant visits, and she was blocking me from meeting any new girls. I went out of town for a few months to try to break the toxic pattern, but then after a full summer, I realized that I really do enjoy her company, and that I should make compromises for differences. After all, it had been 2-1/2 years that we dated, so we already knew each other well. I approached her after months of not talking and asked her if she wanted to start over. She was very upset because somehow she knew that while we were broken up I was dating another girl. I had no clue how she knew this. At this point I still don't know that she and my best friend have been hanging out this whole time. I made sure to keep my business private so as to not make any interruptions in my life in case this new thing didn't work out. But somehow she suspected a lot of things about me quite accurately. I was forced to admit, yes, that did happen. Yes, I did talk to another girl and so many things that she just kept pressing on. After her pressing me so hard and saying that in order for this to work we have to come clean, I just told her all my private business even though we had been broken up. After this, she starts saying that is not enough, and that if I mean it I need to marry her on the spot or impregnate her that night. She surprised me by saying we could elope, and that we can pay someone she knows to be a witness, and there's a venue that could help us quickly. I did want to get back, but both options were very extreme. I thought maybe if we have sex I won't impregnate her, just like I never have. So I decided to have raw sex with her instead of marrying. This happened in a matter of a week. After that it all went downhill. First, she didn't want to take a pregnancy test. We had so many extras, and even though I knew it would be too soon, I told her to pee on it for kicks. She would give so many excuses as to why not until after a month. I still wonder if she was worried she was already pregnant. Another thing, my best friend, upon finding out that I decided to date her more seriously, gets upset with me and starts giving me reasons why I'm better off dating someone else. We then find out I knocked her up that night, and she gave me the ultimatum. But I'm happy, everything is going well from what I know. But then, her sisters start asking me funny questions like why are you so nice to her, why are you still with her, or her family surprised that I'd still date her. That's when red flags started going up. Her sister started telling me stuff I wouldn't figure she'd know. My best friend's nickname, the type of car he has, and some of the music he'd play. I asked her how she knew him and all this, and she starts telling me stories about how he comes over to their house a lot, how one time they walked into the house, and he was licking her chest, and how the sister and my GF would be up late talking about how desperate my best friend was to get at my girl that he would be eating her out to try to convince her to have sex. I didn't think it was true, but I kept tabs on everything she told me. I made observations for months, and it slowly all came to the light. I was depressed and drunk more than ever during her pregnancy about finding out about these things. I hadn't told her anything yet, but it's like she knew the doom was coming. I began asking very vague questions and watching her stress while she lied. Then I'd watch her lie unfold and cover up with another lie. Over and over she'd lie to me like I did not know anything. She would look me straight in the eye and with the most convincing sincerity she'd lie to my face. Who I thought my best friend was, just quiet with me. Too much of a wimp to apologize after I faced him. Just silence with his face down. It turns out he was the one feeding her my private life that I'd entrust him with in an effort to get her to abhor me. I was betrayed by the two people I trusted the most. And worst of all, they both did it against me together. Now I'm stuck with this hyper-apologetic woman that is raising my child. I'm also stuck with trauma where I don't want friends, I don't want quality time with anybody, because I don't want to develop any relationships. I can't believe people from these times. I also think she suffers from trauma that affects us. Because she has cheated and lied to me so much, I think she thinks I'm always doing it. I have been 100% faithful despite all the pain and hardship, but yet I'm the one that's always being put on the defensive with baseless accusations. It's every other day where a new insecurity rises, and the arguments get to the point of yelling, cursing, and slamming doors. My patience with her insecurities is growing thin, and I have broken down crying, punched the wall and broken my entire hand. I've never been aggressive. I was in shock at how I snapped. I love my son so much, and I see he is an extremely happy baby when he sees me and his mom on good terms. He obviously knows when things are good. There's days where I avoid unnecessary confrontation with her, and so I'll go out on a drive for a while, but then when I get back the baby is upset with me and only wants his mom. I feel like if we split, there's no way it won't affect him. But if we stay and always argue, we will be bad examples for him. I'm hurt for sure. As much as I hate to admit it. She pushed me so hard before impregnating her about us coming clean, and she never did. She never told me she had been running around my back with my best friend. And when confronted, her response is, "I just loved you too much to lose you again, that I did what was needed to protect us. I'm sorry for loving you so much." Now her response is that we need to stay together for the baby, and that it's best for us too. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack sometimes, lol, with how dramatic and pointless some of these arguments are. I do my best to give her a good life, literally work and pay for everything while she stays home, but it does not fill my heart. I feel I'm doing this so I don't break her, or the baby's heart. This is where I wonder why people start cheating. No way out, but can't stay in. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. You didn't need to write that whole book. Just complete your relationship. Honestly, no one is at fault here. You need a lot of self-work to be relationship material, and it's possible she does as well, or it could just be that your domineering ways pushed them together inadvertently. Comment 2. Oh mate, this is a mess. Paternity test. Custody arrangement. Break up. You will never be happy in this relationship because far too much betrayal and hurt has taken place. She seems incredibly manipulative, and your best friend is an utter D. Don't stay and cheat and invite more pain into your life. Clean start.